This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Hi there. Good Tuesday morning to you. Boy, did those storms. How long did they go on for?
Not more than 45 minutes in most spots. It was in and out pretty quickly, but once it moved through, it was loud.
It was so loud.
Yeah, but the time lapse of it was kind of cool. We got it from our SkyTrack cams where it was sunny, blue skies, and then those clouds moved in, and it got gray too because of all the rain that came down so hard.
Yeah, more than half an inch of rainfall in some spots. So yeah, those moved through, and they're part of the reason why we're dealing with a little bit of some patchy fog this morning. So keep that in mind. But most of us dealing with this, the heat, of course. We have extreme heat warnings. That's that pink on your screen, anywhere from Du Bois County into Grayson County. We also have a heat advisory out for the rest of us for today as we see that heat index climbing for later on this afternoon. Right now, we're in the low 70s, though, so after a pretty comfortable start in terms of your temperatures. Still dealing with some of these mid to upper level clouds for those of you south of Louisville, and that is where we're not dealing with as much of the fog. Where those clouds have cleared further to the north, this is where we're running into some visibility issues, but now that the sun is up and we'll see temperatures eventually starting to rise, that will help to improve conditions. Looking at our Kentucky Mesonet cameras, just seeing that mix of sun and clouds already across our area, with more of that fog showing up on our SkyTrack camera in Corden. Getting into the afternoon, we'll be back into the mid-90s for your highs, feeling like over 105 degrees at times, but some relief is on the way. But first, we have to deal with some storms. I'll let you know when those will arrive in my full forecast.
Thank you. We now know more about a deadly crash that shut down parts of I-71 South last night.
Investigators say a motorcyclist lost control and crashed while taking the ramp to the Waterson. The man was thrown off the bike and died. His name hasn't been released yet. Police say speed and wet roads were factors in the crash. No other vehicles were involved. The ramp was closed for more than 2 hours after the crash, but has since reopened. This morning, 2 men are recovering after LMPD says they were shot overnight.
This happened on Southview Square in the Kenwood Hill neighborhood. Police say both men were taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. LMPD's non-fatal shooting unit is working to find a motive and what led to the shooting, and police say they have no suspects. If you know anything, contact their anonymous tip line at 574 LMPD.
JCPS's new superintendent is taking feedback from his first community forum.
Parents, teachers, and members of the community got a chance to meet the new superintendent as they get ready to go back to school August 7th. So this was the scene at Seneca High School last night. They talked about the status of the district with Dr. Brian Yearwood. They touched on everything from hiring and retaining teachers to transportation. Dr. Yearwood says the district is working to figure out the best balance with the budget. They are expected to face around $150 million in cuts in the next 2 years due to the federal COVID-19 pandemic funds being cut.
We're looking at it all to determine what is the best way possible through this that is less harmful to our educational process. So again, the verdict is out. We are still looking at every option right now.
Superintendent Yearwood says he's also focused on transparency. This week, the district made information available about transportation for students and their families. They can now get their bus information on the JCPS transportation portal, including pickup and drop-off times and bus numbers. Some parents we spoke with said they wish they would have had that information available sooner because now it's not giving them a lot of time to find other options in the community if a bus is not guaranteed.
So 7 days before school starts and you're just now finding out your bus routes. If there's any issues with it, you can't make arrangements with other people to help or to get family to help you. You have work that you have to worry about. You have your schedules that parents have, grandparents have, and you can't drop everything at the last minute to get your kids to the bus stops.
To find more information about transportation for JCPS students, you can check out this story on wave3.com. And there will be more community conversations with the new superintendent. There is one tomorrow, and that one is at Fairdale High School.
While JCPS still has more than a week until they return to class, several districts in our area return this week. Silver Creek School District in southern Indiana returns to classes today, while New Albany Floyd County Schools welcome students back tomorrow. On Thursday, Greater Clark County Schools will have their first day, and Crawford County Community Schools return on Friday. We have a full list of first days across Wave Country over on our website, wave3.com.
New details now in the case of Crystal Rogers and one of the men convicted for his role in her disappearance. Brooks Houck, who was dating Crystal at the time and they had a child together, is now banned from selling any property pending a hearing in her family's wrongful death lawsuit. This also means no businesses Houck owns can sell properties either. Court documents say Houck tried to sell property in the days after he was convicted in Rogers' death. Rogers' mother claims jail phone call transcripts show Houck called his current girlfriend to talk about how they would sell property, vehicles, and equipment. The documents also say Houck called his sister, Rhonda McElvoy, and said this, "You know, so they're going to take everything. They're going to take everything that I've got, so go ahead and try to get what you can for it." The court memo also claims Houck called his mother and brother to talk about selling property. A hearing in the wrongful death lawsuit is set for October 8th. Still to come, customers of MSD are expecting a price increase in September.
We'll bring you the latest update from MSD after they say the price may not be as high as originally planned. That's coming up here on And thanks for sticking with us here on Sunrise Extra. It has been so hot. Welcome back to Juana. Did you miss the heat that we had here?
Oh, we were dealing with it where we were. We were in North Carolina for a couple of days for a good friend's wedding, and it was 100 degrees. As we were getting out of the ceremony, I was like, yeah, no. So everybody's dealing with the heat, and we're still dealing with it here as well. We have, of course, that extreme heat warning for those of you further to the west, from Du Bois County into Perry, Breckenridge, and Grayson County. That goes until 8 p.m. Everybody else, though, underneath that heat advisory that does last, by the way, until tomorrow evening. Still sitting in those low 70s, but now that sun is up, we're going to start to see that warming process going on. It's 72 degrees for those of you in Shepherdsville and in Sellersburg. Same thing in Buckner and LaGrange. 73 73 in PRP in New Albany, 74 right now in St. Matthews. Now, where we saw a little bit more of those clearing skies earlier this morning into southern Indiana is where we're dealing with some patchy light fog, seeing that showing up clearly on our SkyTrack camera in Corden. That fog trying to develop a little bit more now that we're towards sunrise, but now that that sun is up over the horizon, it will gradually start to mix out. So you see some of that clearing for those of you further to the north with those mid to upper level clouds still holding on across Kentucky. Everybody, though, at least dry to start off the day as we have that front hovering to our north. We'll keep an eye on some of these thunderstorms diving along that front for the rest of the day, but overall, most of us just going to be sunny and dry with those highs in the 90s, but that heat index near 105 degrees. As we look ahead to tonight, we'll keep some of these upper level clouds overhead as we return to the 70s for your lows. Here is your 10-day. For tomorrow, back into the mid-90s for your highs. That heat, humidity not going anywhere for tomorrow. For your Thursday, though, that is when some changes will start to show up in the forecast, courtesy of a cold front moving into our region then. This will help to bring some of those showers and thunderstorms back into our forecast. A better rain chances showing up for your Thursday afternoon and evening. The front will keep a few of those storms into our forecast for early Friday before we dry out throughout your Friday, and we see some of that cooler air trying to take over. Look at your Friday and Saturday highs only in the low 80s then. So it is going to be substantially cooler, and we'll even talk about some lower humidity showing up for your Friday and Saturday. So things are going to look good and feel good once we head into the weekend. But you know, we're in the middle of summer, so this cooler weather isn't going to last too long. We'll be back into the upper 80s for your highs on Sunday with an isolated rain chance. Then we'll see a better chance of more of those showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for Monday and Tuesday. It does look like we'll heat up a bit more for the middle and end of next week as we keep some of those downpours in our forecast.
Thank you, Tawana. This morning, LMPD is warning people about a troubling trend on social media.
It's called the Door Kick Challenge, and you may have seen reports coming from other states. Groups go up to doors in the middle of the night, violently kicking the doors and then taking off. In some states, groups have even been caught and arrested. One viewer reached out to Wave News saying it's happening here too, and 4 people kicked in her house this weekend. She sent us this video from her Ring camera just before 2:30 Saturday morning. You see teens with their faces covered come up to her front and side door. The homeowner actually caught them outside of another neighbor's house a few minutes later and screamed at them to go away. She thought it was a game of ding dong ditch until someone told her about the social media challenge. Now she wants to warn others about what's happening. LMPD says the challenge is criminal and anyone caught doing it could be charged. They also say anyone who does it is risking their life. The department sent us a statement saying in part, quote, a resident could easily and probably reasonably assume resorting to deadly force against the person is the next appropriate course of action to protect themselves from what they believe may be an intruder. This type of behavior is stupid and dangerous.
We're following the latest details from a deadly mass shooting in New York City. Officials have now released the name of the officer killed his wife, expecting their 3rd child. Police were called to the building around 6:30 last night. It houses some of the country's top financial firms and the National Football League. Investigators say the shooter walked into the lobby, first shot an officer, then moved through the lobby and shot others who were there. The police commissioner says 36-year-old fallen officer Didarul Islam was there working security. The mayor says he was a true New Yorker who loved his city, and he leaves behind his wife pregnant with their 3rd child and 2 young sons. Officials say 3 others were killed, 2 men and a woman. Another man is in critical condition.
Pure evil came to the heart of our city and struck innocent people. And one of our police officers who were protecting those people.
Police have identified the shooter as 27-year-old Shane Tamura from Las Vegas. Investigators say he shot and killed himself inside the building. Investigators say a note was found at the scene. They say Tamura cited the NFL in the writings, voicing his anger that his mental illness may be linked to his having played football. They're trying to see if that is the reason why he targeted the Park Avenue building that housed the NFL offices.
MSD says customers' upcoming rate increase this September will be smaller than they originally planned. MSD says the rate increase for customers in Jefferson County will be 3.9% instead of the original 4.9%. The new figure adds up to an extra $3.11 per month. Oldham County customers can expect to pay about $1.57 extra each month. MSD says it lowered the rates based on community feedback, but now they'll have to cut some costs and reprioritize some projects.
We must do things that maintain the flood protection system, and we're going to make cuts in other areas to make sure that we're controlling the amount of rate increases that we bring forth to our customers every year.
Under the approved budget plan, MSD will invest more than $300 million to support more than 180 capital improvement projects.
You can help shape what Norton Children's new pediatric care campus will look like and provide feedback today. The healthcare system is developing a new pediatric hospital in Jeffersontown. To find out what their patients want from it, they're holding their Follow the Balloon sessions. You can get updates about the campus, also ask questions, and share feedback that could shape how they handle pediatric care. The first one is tonight from 6 to 7:30. It'll be at Tully Elementary School's cafeteria. You can register online. The new campus will be off Tucker Station Road in Jeffersontown. It will include surgical suites, emergency care, integrated behavioral health services, and more. Norton has also launched a community survey to see what people want at the campus. They gathered similar feedback too for the West Louisville Hospital. To find a link to that survey, just go to wave3.com. And looking ahead to some things going on in our area, Louisville Mega Cavern is hosting a classic car show to raise money for people with Down syndrome.
The Cavern Car Show Classic will debut on Saturday, August 16th. The Cavern will be packed with classic cars, music raffles, a farmer's market, and food trucks. The money raised will support Down syndrome of Louisville. If you have a classic car and you want to show it off, you can enter it for $20 cash only. And if you'd like to check out the rides, it's free though volunteers will take donations there. Well, eating, cooking, and supporting a good cause is all on tap for Friday.
You can go to the Big Green Egg Fest this Friday. It is going on at Brownsboro Hardware and Paint. They've done it every year, big cooking competition using the Big Green Egg Cooker. Dozens of chefs have signed up to show off some of their best food, and 100% of the proceeds will be split between the group's Kentucky Harvest and Don G's nonprofit, A Recipe to End Hunger. You can buy tickets online or also in person. It's crazy seeing all those big green eggs just lined up there like that, right?
And they make some good food there.
Yeah,
tacos right there. That sounds so good.
A Texas man accused of stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark now knows his fate.
We'll have all the details on how long he'll serve in jail when we come back.
there's an update to a troubleshooter investigation into a Kentucky State Police trooper indicted on civil rights charges. We've learned KSP issued an intent to fire Trooper Cameron Wright. Wright is appealing that termination. He is suspended without pay. Last March, Wright was indicted in 3 different cases. This video on your screen is from May of 2024. It shows Wright tasing John Millett while he is on the ground with his hands behind his back. Millett is then put in handcuffs and slammed to the ground. He suffered 5 broken ribs in the process. Wright is also charged for lying about using force in a case involving Alex Hornback. Wright is accused of hitting Hornback once he's down and trying to delete video Hornback's father recorded of the incident along with another trooper. Wright, though, was unaware that there was a security camera also in the room.
The Utica Township Fire Department says it's working to bring in new volunteers to serve the community. Utica Fire hosted an open house last night so neighbors could see the changes they've made since the Jamie Knoll investigation. Knoll was stealing public funds through New Chapel EMS and Utica Fire. New Fire Chief Joe Jarls says right now the department is trying to sell equipment and pay off its debt. Jarls says the department is also committed to finding more volunteer firefighters who will carry on the fire station's long legacy of service. Chief Jarls has previously said he had almost 50 applications for volunteer firefighters.
A former Southern Indiana high school counselor will serve 2 years in prison for having an inappropriate relationship with a student. Brittany Eisner pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child seduction and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, the former student at Floyd Central High School. Eisner was arrested in October of 2024. When she was taken into custody, Eisner was a counselor at the school. In the sentencing hearing, the student shared a message with the judge and those in the courtroom.
I would go to her with all my problems. We began meeting up to talk and hang out, and things quickly escalated. Before we had sexual relations the first time, she had made the comment that if we do things, I better not tell anybody because she would lose her whole life. This proves that she was fully aware that what she was doing was wrong and chose to do it anyway. I was young, depressed, and naive, and she had made me believe that she was the only adult in my life that truly cared about me. After the first time we had sex, I immediately regretted it. I did not say anything because I was scared I would lose the person who I could talk to when things got bad.
Eisner must register as a sex offender once she is done with detention and cannot have any contact with the victim. A Louisville family is suing an online firearms dealer. They claim the company sold their teen son a ghost gun kit without verifying his age or doing a background check, and that he killed himself. Henry Willis's family claims that directly enabled his death by suicide. They're suing for negligence. Willis's mother, Laura Herp, is filing the lawsuit against Husky Armory and its parent company. Her lawsuit says the company sold her son the kit in July of 2023, and days later, her 18-year-old son used the kit to take his own life. The suit later claims the gun kits qualify as a firearm and under federal law should follow the requirements for gun sales. The lawsuit later claims Husky Armory was banned from selling a gun to Willis because he was under 21 and had experienced a mental health crisis in the months before his death.
A former UK basketball player has been arrested in Lexington. 40-year-old Ramel Smooth Bradley was arrested on Sunday after police say he got into a physical altercation with a security official at an apartment complex. The arrest citation says Bradley was riding a moped without a license and had marijuana. Bradley played nearly 130 games for the Wildcats between 2004 and 2008. A Texas man accused of stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark will serve more than a year in jail after pleading guilty to harassment charges. Michael Lewis was arrested on charges in January. He was charged with stalking and harassment after sending Clark more than 800 messages, some of those messages being sexually explicit. Lewis will serve about a year and a half in jail due to the time served after his arrest in January. In addition to his prison sentence, the judge ordered that Lewis have no internet access, and she also recommended mental health treatment for him.
And it's just about 7:24 right now. We'll have another look at local news and weather in just a couple of minutes.
Stick with us.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Hi there, I'm Shannon Kogan. This morning, LMPD is warning people about a troubling trend on social media. It is called the Door Kick Challenge. It encourages teens to kick and damage the front doors of homes. A viewer sent us this Ring doorbell camera video of it happening to her house on Saturday morning. Teens have their faces covered, go up to her front door, side door. LMPD says the challenge is dangerous and criminal. The department says homeowners could use deadly force if they believe that was an intruder. Anyone caught doing the challenge could be charged. So a warning to teens. Well, let's go to Tawana because another heat advisory in effect today.
Yeah, we're talking about more of these heat advisories and even adding on an extreme heat warning for those of you further to the west of 65 for today as we watch for the heat index approaching and exceeding 105 degrees later on this afternoon. But we're still sitting in the low 70s this morning. So we're off to a quiet start, dealing with a little bit of that patchy fog showing up in many spots in southern Indiana. We had that wave of storms move through yesterday evening. Because of that, we have some of that moisture left over, and this is what's leading to some of the patchy fog in parts of our region. Some clouds still holding on for those of you further to the south. We'll watch for that mix of sun and clouds throughout the rest of the day as we climb back into the mid-90s for your highs with that heat index near 105 degrees. We're keeping an eye on the roads this morning, and what we're looking at right now is for those of you traveling on 64 eastbound as you're trying to head really out of southern Indiana and into the metro. This is where we have the left lane blocked in that area as you're getting past portions of New Albany by a crash. So we'll be watching that closely, and we're seeing those delays showing up quite clearly on the camera there near Spring Street.
Thanks for staying with us here on Wave Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. Good morning to everyone who's been with us throughout the morning here. Well, we're learning more about the condition of Muhammad Ali's brother, Rahman, after a group of community leaders say he's in hospice care right now. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote spoke to some of those who are close with him and shares more.
Those closest to Rahman Ali said they've heard from people across the country and around the world that they're praying for Ali. And those closest to him gathered here at his home church on Monday morning to asking people to continue those prayers. 82-year-old Rahman Ali is the younger brother of Muhammad Ali. While it's widely known that Muhammad Ali was a civil rights champion who fought for peace, his brother Rahman took on the same challenge. Community leaders say Rahman was admitted to the hospital on July 19th after saying he wasn't feeling like himself. People at the King Solomon Missionary Baptist Church, where Rahman Ali attends, talked about the impact he's had on Louisville.
He supported Feed the People. Feed the People. He got behind Pastor Charles Elliott to feed everyone a hot meal every day, free of charge. So it's so important what he's put in. Rahman, I think his encouragement, his smile, his uplifting the people was great.
And he did this quietly. He didn't ask for recognition or to be put in for any awards for this, but he did it. He showed up at numerous community events. And that's important to mention. He was like a quiet thunder.
Church leaders say they're working on organizing a vigil that the community can attend. We'll be sure to update you on air and online on when that could be. Reporting in Louisville, Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
And we are certainly thinking about him and his loved ones during this tough time. Well, a task force was set up by the Kentucky legislature to gather information about solving the state's housing shortage. The task force got an earful about the size of the problem. Legislators heard from multiple experts on the state's housing shortage. Some go as far as to call it a crisis. According to research from the Kentucky Chamber, the state would have to build 500 million homes by 2050 to meet a robust household growth. The current shortfall is 200,000 units. It puts a drag on economic growth and job growth.
You all are no stranger to the numbers. We would rank in the bottom 10 states annually when it comes to workforce participation rate. I believe the data that we have reflects that in order, if we're going to continue to grow and to create more jobs for people, we're going to have places for them to live and raise their families.
A number of suggestions were offered to the task force members. These included cutting regulations, providing economic incentives, and streamlining the legal process for developers. The task force consists of 10 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Testimony that happened yesterday is expected to influence future legislation. A local program is providing resources to help people expunge their criminal records. The Jefferson County Public Law Library will restart their Fresh Start expungement program. They will host an intake clinic on Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. People with misdemeanors and Class D felony convictions that are older than 5 years old are encouraged to attend. The expungement clinic has received grant money to allow more than 100 eligible residents to clear their records for free. You can call the Law Library to find out if you qualify. Construction on River Road is moving along. That's good news there for people who live in that area. The residual line project is now on the stretch of road between Blankenbaker Lane and Limekiln Lane. While crews work there, car traffic will be limited to local access through this Sunday. A temporary gravel road will be up and running in the area by next Monday. It marks the halfway point for pipe installations along River Road. The Louisville Water Company's goal is to have most of their work done by next summer. A nationwide car warranty company has been hit with a class action lawsuit. In it, the lawyers claim Endurance Warranty does not live up to its promises in its car repair contracts. Wave News troubleshooter Mark Stevens says the lawsuit mirrors complaints from a Kentucky customer.
When a mechanic raised this car on the lift this spring, its owner knew something was wrong.
I had 259,000 miles. It was high mileage.
The car's transmission wore out. But Richard Leal didn't worry.
Just the peace of mind. That's the whole thing. Peace of mind that you don't have to worry about your car at all.
Because peace of mind is what Endurance Warranty promised him when he bought one of their service contracts. But Leal says Endurance broke its promise.
Here I am with money out of my pocket. I fixed my car myself. There's no peace of mind. And I'm still battling this thing.
He had the car towed to this shop on April 1st. The mechanic quoted $7,200 for a new transmission. He filed the claim for repairs to Endurance. A week later, Endurance asked Leal for proof the car had its scheduled 150,000-mile transmission service. No problem.
I know the car. I do all my own maintenance, so I know exactly how the car runs, and all the maintenance has been done on it.
Leal got the handwritten receipt from the car's glove box and emailed it in. Endurance responded, denied.
Because the receipt you have was hand printed, it's not a computer generated receipt.
At this point, Leal's car had been sitting for 2 weeks. He got a new receipt typed up from the prior transmission mechanic and sent it in. Endurance accepted it, but still wouldn't cover the full bill, even after Leal bought a used transmission at half the original price. He was left short about $500.
I want to get back all the money for this used transmission, money for my time that I've wasted going back and forth. This is multiple for 2 months, 2+ months.
He turned to the internet and found all kinds of unhappy customers, including some who hired a Chicago law firm.
They do all they can to delay and deny coverage.
Jonathan Lindenfeld has filed a class action lawsuit against Endurance. His clients ran into many of the same roadblocks Leal had.
Endurance companies will try to avoid liability for a variety of reasons.
His client said it took months for Endurance to make claims decisions. Some were told to have their mechanics conduct even more tests paid out of their own pockets. Lindenfeld says Endurance makes money by denying claims.
They're paying thousands of dollars for extended coverage, and the more claims Endurance denies, the more money it makes.
Endurance has denied these claims in court and has asked the judge to toss the case, saying the contracts require these customers go through arbitration. The judge has not made a decision yet. We asked Endurance multiple times for an interview. Endurance, however, never responded. Liel accepted the $2,900 check Endurance sent him, even though it didn't cover all of his expenses. He canceled his service contracts on both his cars and plans to sue for the rest of the money he paid out of pocket for Endurance's promise of peace of mind.
Making as much money as they can, and then when it comes time for you to go and put a claim in, find one way or the other to deny you.
He says their promises were just meant to get a piece of his wallet.
Oregon Consumer Protection Authorities settled a telephone advertising case with Endurance in 2022. Endurance paid $550,000 and agreed not to cold call people in the state to sell its vehicle service contracts. That agreement lasts until 2027. We're going to take a quick break, and coming up right after the break, we'll hear from the New Albany Floyd County Schools Superintendent as they look ahead to the new school year, which starts tomorrow. Stick with us. Kids going back to school soon. First up is New Albany Floyd County Schools, joined by Superintendent Dr. Travis Madison. You're first in our area, the first district to head back. How does that honor feel?
Well, we'd like to think we're getting maybe a head start. I don't know, but again, nonetheless, it's here. Ready or not is what that's kind of been our mantra the last couple of weeks as we gear up for Wednesday. And unfortunately, the weather's not helping us out on Wednesday, but again, the heat's still here, so it still feels like summer. But no, we're excited. Folks have been working tirelessly all summer. Our facilities crews have been just been working diligently. You know, any food service, our transportation department getting things ready and organized. So we feel like we're ready to go. Again, we always ask for patience and a little bit of grace as we get things back into, get everybody back in a routine, which is kind of important that first week or so. But no, we're excited. Wednesday will get here. We'll work through those bugs, and hopefully we can get off to a great start.
And okay, so we'll start talking about some of the big topics here with the big one right now. The Trump administration just released billions of dollars in grants for schools. That's about $600,000 for your school district too. Yeah. What does that mean for you all, and what kind of programs is this funding now that you're going to be able to have access to that?
Sure, most of them were title grants, which were obviously things that we plan and utilize accordingly. Some of them we kind of combined into funds, and really for us, a lot of it was a lot of those services that we provide kids. I know social services, social workers, a lot of those things that we feel like are very vital. So we were a little worried, but when we did see that the freeze was coming, or at least that was announced there a few weeks ago, our initial plan was just to try to kind of absorb those as much as we possibly could with some rainy day funds, in hopes that it was just a freeze and it wasn't a permanent cut. So we were relieved on Friday, obviously, with the news that those dollars were going to be coming. But again, at the outset, we weren't going to make any major changes. We wanted to make sure we didn't pull the rug out from underneath the kids and those families that need those things. So again, we were relieved and happy of the news that came on Friday. We just hope it's not something that continually happens, because those are tough, especially with those areas that we feel like are just hugely imperative for our families.
Absolutely. So then also recently those iLearn results were released, and that's for 3rd through 8th grade students.
Yeah.
You all were testing higher than the state average too. Tell us a little bit about some of those results and what it means for your school district.
Yeah, and I kind of put out a statement when we get those. Obviously, we know that a student's more than a test score. However, we know that that's the reality. Kids are going to take those assessments. We want to utilize that data as best we can to make sure that we are looking at each individual student, but also we want to look at classes and trends to see if there are areas that we feel like we want to tweak, and we want to make sure that we're addressing from a curriculum and instruction standpoint, to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward, and those kids are more than equipped to be able to take those exams and do the best that they possibly can. And again, we were pleased with those results, but again, we're going to continue to dive in and look at ways that we can improve instruction, ways that we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of our kids, because ultimately a test score is a test score, and our goal and our job, we feel like, are to prepare our kids for what's next. So if it's kindergarten into 1st grade, 2nd grade into 3rd grade, so we're going to use that data to make sure that we are lining them up to be successful from a programming standpoint, from a standards standpoint. The state standards obviously are what's put in front of those and what those assessments do gauge. But we also want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward to make sure we're preparing those kids to be good citizens, good adults when they leave our high schools, to be contributing members of society, and hopefully they're prepared to do whatever they want to do. And that's our ultimate goal. But again, pleased with the results. But again, always work to be done, and we'll take that information in. We'll make adjustments as necessary, and hopefully do better next year as well.
Any kind of message you have for those 3rd through 8th grade students who did test so high?
Certainly.
I'm sure
Well,
you're
all
proud.
all the kids. I mean, we're extremely pleased with the effort that we see from our kids and our families, and we know it's a partnership. We know it's an effort that's not just us at school, but we need our parents at home to support what we're doing. We need the kids to come to school every day ready to learn. And it takes all of us to obviously make it work. And so we certainly thank them for their efforts, and thanks to our parents for their trust in us and the partnership they provide us to do the things that we need to do.
So moving forward, the district is moving forward with various facility updates, $19.5 million. Can you talk about some of the highlights and what's going to be improved in the school system?
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of unbelievable things that are going to happen. A lot of them are systems, which aren't very exciting, but they have to be working.
Necessary,
so a lot of HVAC systems, roofs that need to be addressed. Again, we did a major facility study over the last year and a half to really identify a lot of different areas of need in our district, to make sure that we have those systems taken care of, and they're within their life cycle, to where we're not seeing consistent breakdowns to where you're constantly repairing. So trying to be as proactive as you can with those. We do have a few other items that are on the radar. I know we're looking at some facility upgrades up at Floyd Central with the high school softball complex. This past couple of years, we've seen that really get inundated. It's in a floodplain, so it's something that we continue to have to be addressing, and girls lose time in the field and practice. And
as a former softball player,
yeah.
I love hearing that'll move.
Yeah,
don't want to risk injuries and stuff.
And again, it just field. You do, and again, it's just the cost of continuing to get it up and ready to go to play. So you're adding a lot of additional cost into that. And so I think when you look at that over time, it's much more pragmatic to make sure that you have a facility that we've seen with the turf fields and things like that you can play on a lot more. You can, you're not putting as much maintenance into it on a regular basis. And the goal is to try to look at moving it out of that floodplain to where obviously we don't have that situation to where those kids are faced with that. And then it's kind of a domino effect. We're looking at the same thing for the baseball, which is down in that same area as well. So that's one of the projects that's on the radar, but a lot of the others are major upgrades to HVAC systems, those things that are out of date and are inefficient and are continuing to give us issues. So We want to make sure we get those taken care of, because in the long run, they're going to be more efficient and they're going to save us money. So it's a kind of an investment that you make to try to make sure that you make that dollar stretch even further.
Absolutely. And so middle schoolers this year, too, will be experiencing a bit of a change in their morning routines. Tell us about this SEEK program that they'll be going through.
Yeah, basically it's something that we're kind of implementing this year, and it'll kick off their day. We hope it's a positive thing that kids will come into. It's kind of a homeroom setting where they'll be with the same group of kids every day with an instructional leader, a teacher in there with them. And we hope that it's kind of that it's an enrichment type activity. So it's not just remediation. It's not for those kids to maybe play catch up, but we can utilize that time for that as if they need some additional work on maybe a standard or specific skill. But we're also hoping it's time to where some of those kids that maybe have mastered some of those things, we can put some things in place to provide them some enrichment type activities where they're maybe doubling down on some things and doing some neat projects or neat activities together to again kick off their day in a positive way to make sure we're continuing to have them grow, because just like with the assessments, you want to make sure kids are moving in a positive direction. We don't want them status quo or stagnant. So it's just trying to find ways to continue. We call it basically it's student enrichment, and basically it's that extension of knowledge. So how are we taking them a step further to make sure every student's getting what they need and being engaged, if you will? And sometimes they need something a little bit extra to make them there.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to add that we may have missed? Anything you want to get out to the students? I mean, school right around the corner.
Well, students and families alike. I mean, the biggest thing that we want to make sure that folks realize is we are customer service based. We want to make sure that their experience is the best experience that they have around. We feel like we've got unbelievable programs. We've got great people. It's just don't hesitate to keep that line of communication open. We're going to do our very best to extend that, but also we need to hear from them as well. If there's questions they have or concerns that they have, don't ever hesitate to reach out. We want to make sure we are doing the very best to address those concerns and issues before they become major ones. So again, you can go to social media if you want, but we'd much rather a phone call, reach out to us, and let us try to get to the bottom of it and make sure that their kids are having the greatest experience possible at New Albany Floyd County Schools.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Travis Madison, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy this week, and good luck with those kiddos heading back to school.
Thanks for having us, and we're looking forward to a great year.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with more Sunrise Extra right after this. Well, it's a big holiday here. Today is National Chicken Wing Day. So there's a restaurant in Wave Country that's actually celebrating in a really fun, unique way. World of Beer Bar and Kitchen is hosting their second annual wing eating contest. The wings will feature Hot Ones sauces, where competitors eat 10 wings. The sauces get hotter as you go along and see how long you can handle the heat. If you win, you'll walk away with the Hot Ones dipping sauce box. That starts at 4 p.m. at World of Beer Bar and Kitchen in Louisville. And if you want to compete, You can email Louisville@worldofbeer.com with your name and phone number. You must be 18 or older to compete. Looks like they are bone-in wings, but I will also add that boneless wings do not actually count as chicken wings. They are just chicken tenders, still delicious. But come on, let's be real here. They're not actual wings. Let's stick with the bone-in wings. That's more my style. Schools are picking back up this week and next week. However, you still have a chance to help out with some local kids for a school supply drive. Wave News, the Neighborhood Place, and Furniture Fair are teaming up to collect donations for local kids, and you can drop off those supplies at either Furniture Fair locations today and tomorrow. It ends tomorrow. That's the last day you can help out, and your donations will give local kids a great start to the new school year. A ribbon cutting will be held today for a new playground in Louisville. That's happening at 4 this afternoon at Panther Park on Nottingham Parkway. The new playground is built for children of all abilities. There will also be food trucks and face painting, so plenty of fun there, plus a new park. Well, today is the day Lou City has been waiting for about 364 days, almost exactly 1 year to the day. They'll finally have the chance for revenge against Germany's Eintracht Frankfurt. So this will be a rematch of the two teams as they played last year, and it resulted in a 4-2 defeat for the boys in purple. The game is set for tonight at 7:30. Frankfurt finished in third place of the top league in Germany last season, qualifying them for the Champions League. But I know they will have a huge crowd out there. That'll be such a big game there at Lynn Family Stadium. Well, we are almost to August, so close, and that means football season is right around the corner. Last season was not up to the standard that Mark Stoops has built at Kentucky, being his worst season since taking over the program in 2013, and he'll be the first to tell you that. This year, it's all about bouncing back for the Cats, though. Mark Stoops is now the longest tenured head coach in the SEC as he enters his 13th season. After winning 10 games just 4 years ago, the Cats saw themselves win just 4 total games last season with only one conference win. He says big changes are coming, but he says he reminds his team of the disappointment last year.
We didn't want to just move past it. We had to look at everything, turn over every stone, and make sure that we were doing things to the best of our ability.
And Kentucky opens the season on October 30th at Kroger Field against Toledo. Well, from football to basketball, U of L basketball added a new game to their schedule. The Cards will host Bucknell for a charity exhibition game. A portion of the ticket sales will go to Kentuckiana Friends of V for cancer research. The teams will take the court on Tuesday, October 28th at the KFC Yum Center. Tip-off times and information on where to watch that game on TV are not known just yet, but they should be released before then. Single game tickets will be available this fall. Already looking forward to a great fall and a great winter of college athletics. Excited to see them out there. Well, that's all the time we have here at Wave Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.